Namaste Nara Simhaya. Namaste Nara Simhaya. Prahlad Prahlad Hiranyakashito Vaksha Shilatanka Nakhanai Itunasanha Parato Nasanha Yato Yato Yani Tato Nasanha Bhiranasanha Hridaye Nasanha Narasihamadin Sharanam Prapati Tava Tara Kamalavadena Adabhutta Shringaram Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tano Brindavam Kitavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Lakshmi Narasimha Jai Bhakta Prahlad Lakshmi Narasimha Jai Bhakta Prahlad Prabhupada 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada Jai Shri Shri Lakshmi Narasimha Dev Bhagwan Ki Jai Prasad Palak Maharaj Shri Vrindaye Tulsi Deviyai Priyai Keshavasya Cha Vishnu Bhakti Devi Satyavate Namo Namaha Vrindadevi Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai Namo Namaha Tulasi Krishna Preyasi Namo Namaha Radha Krishna Seva Pavo Eya Bhilashi Yetomara Sharanalo Tadavancha Purna Kripa Kori Karatani Vrindavanavasi Mora Eya Bhilash Vilas Tunde Diyovas Nayane Herivo Sada Yogala Ruparashi Eni Vedana Sakirano Katakoro Sevadi Karatiye Koro Nijanasi Dina Krishna Dase Kore Eya Namora Hoy Shri Radha Govinda Preme Sadai Namasti Yani Kani Cha Papani Brahmahatyadikani Cha Tani Tani Pranashanti Pradakshina Pade Pade Nandai Tulasi Deviyai प्रियाय केशवस्य च विष्णुभक्तिवदेवी सत्यवत्ते नमो नमः। चंद्रदेवी तुलसी महारानी की जय। श्री भगवान की जय।
Okay.
Yeah.
Puja, Vrindavan. Okay. Puja, ठीक हो?
जी गुरु महाराज, आपका आशीर्वाद है। Almost Maharaj, yesterday's data was around 1100, 1100 approx. जी महाराज, कुछ का क्या है महाराज, हमने कुछ एरियाज ने ऑनलाइन अभी डाला नहीं है, अपलोड नहीं किया है। उन्होंने लक्ष्मी लेकर के रख लिया है, रजिस्ट्रेशन कर लिया है, धीमे धीमे अपलोड कर रहे हैं इसे। Like we have made an online portal as well, so online they are uploading simultaneously. इसमें सारा मेल आईडी, ईमेल आईडी, सब नंबर सब डाल। जी मैडम। जी whatever you say Maharaj.
Chapter 7 or 9? Different chapters. Chapter 7 से हाँ जी।
नाम क्या है चैप्टर?
The Lord begins his tour of South India. Chapter 7. The Lord begins his tour of South India. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. In his Amrit Pravah Bhashya, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur summarizes the 7th chapter as follows. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the renounced order of life in the month of Magh, January-February, and went to Jagannath Puri in the month of Phagun, February-March. He saw the Dola Yatra festival during the month of Phagun, and in the month of Chaitra, he liberated Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. During the month of Vaishakh, he began to tour South India. When he proposed to travel to South India alone, Shri Nityananda Prabhu gave him a Brahman assistant named Krishna Das. When Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was beginning his tour, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya gave him 4 sets of clothes and requested him to see Ramananda Rai, who was residing at that time on the bank of the river Godavari. Along with other devotees, Nityananda Prabhu accompanied the Lord to Aladnath. But there Lord Chaitanya left them all behind and went ahead with the Brahmana Krishna Das. The Lord began chanting the mantra Krishna, 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 Hey. In whatever village he spent the night, whenever a person came to see him in his shelter, the Lord implored him to preach the Krishna consciousness movement. After teaching the people of one village, the Lord proceeded to other villages to increase devotees. In this way, he finally reached Kurma Sthan. While there, he bestowed his causeless mercy upon a Brahmana called Kurma and cured another Brahmana named Vasudev, who was suffering from leprosy. After curing this Brahmana leper, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu received the title Vasudevamrit Pral, meaning one who delivered nectar to the leper Vasudev. Now we are beginning text 1. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, being very compassionate toward a Brahmana named Vasudev, cured him of leprosy. He transformed him into a beautiful man, satisfied with devotional service. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the glorious Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All glories to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to Lord Nityanand Prabhu, all glories to Advaita Acharya, and all glories to all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya. After delivering Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya, the Lord desired to go to South India to preach. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the renounced order during the waxing fortnight of the month of Magh. During the following month, Phagun, he went to Jagannath Puri and resided there. At the end of the month of Phagun, he witnessed the Dola Yatra ceremony, and in his usual ecstatic love of God, he chanted and danced in various ways on the occasion. During the month of Chaitra, while living at Jagannath Puri, the Lord delivered Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya, and at the beginning of the next month, Vaishakh, he decided to go to South India. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu called all his devotees together and holding them by the hand, humbly informed them, "You are all more dear to me than my life. I can give up my life, but to give you up is difficult for me. You are all my friends, and you have properly executed the duties of friends by bringing me here to Jagannath Puri and giving me the chance to see Lord Jagannath in the temple. I now beg all of you for one bit of charity. Please give me permission to leave for a tour of South India. I shall go to search out Vishwaroop. Please forgive me, but I want to go alone. I do not wish to take anyone with me. Until I return from Setu Bandha, all of you, dear friends, should remain at Jagannath Puri." Knowing everything, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was aware that Vishwaroop had already passed away. A pretense of ignoring was necessary, however, so that he could go to South India and liberate the people there. Upon hearing this message from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all the devotees became very unhappy and remained silent with swollen faces. Nityanand Prabhu then said, "How is it possible for you to go alone? Who can tolerate this? Let one or two of us go with you, otherwise you may fall into the clutches of thieves and rogues along the way. They may be whomever you like, but two persons should go with you. Indeed, I know all the paths to different places of pilgrimage in South India. Just order me, and I shall go with you." The Lord replied, "I am simply a dancer, and you are the wire puller. However, you pull the wires to make me dance, I shall dance in that way." After accepting the sannyas order, I decided to go to Vrindavan, but you took me instead to the house of Advaita Acharya. While on the way to Jagannath Puri, you broke my sannyas stuff. I know that all of you have great affection for me, but such things disturb my activities. Jagdanand wants me to enjoy bodily sense gratification, and out of fear, I do whatever he tells me. If I sometimes do something against his desire, out of anger, he will not talk to me for 3 days. Being a sannyasi, I have a duty to lie down on the ground and to take a bath 3 times a day, even during the winter. But Mukunda becomes very unhappy when he sees my severe austerities. Of course, Mukunda does not say anything, but I know that he is very unhappy within, and upon seeing him unhappy, I become twice as unhappy. Although I am in the renounced order of life, and Damodar is a brahmachari, he still keeps a stick in his hand just to educate me. According to Damodar, I am still a neophyte as far as social etiquette is concerned, therefore he does not like my independent nature. Damodar Pandit and others are more advanced in receiving the mercy of Lord Krishna, therefore they are independent of public opinions. As such, they want me to enjoy sense gratification, even though it be unethical. But since I am a poor sannyasi, I cannot abandon the duties of the renounced order, and therefore I follow them strictly. Purport. A brahmachari is supposed to assist a sannyasi, therefore a brahmachari should not try to instruct a sannyasi. That is the etiquette. Consequently, Damodar should not have advised Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu of his duty. You should all therefore remain here in Nilachal for some days while I tour the sacred places of pilgrimage alone. Actually, the Lord was controlled by the good qualities of all his devotees. On the pretense of attributing faults, he tested all these qualities. Purport. All the accusations made by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu against his beloved devotees actually showed his great appreciation of their intense love for him. Yet he mentioned these faults one after another as if he were offended by their intense affection. The personal associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sometimes behave contrary to regulative principles out of intense love for the Lord. And because of their love, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself sometimes violated the regulative principles of a sannyasi. In the eyes of the public, such violations are not good. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so controlled by his devotees' love that he was obliged to break some of the rules. Although accusing them, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was indirectly indicating that he was very satisfied with their behavior in pure love of God. Therefore, in the verse 27, he mentions that his devotees and associates place more importance on love of Krishna than on social etiquette. There are many instances of devotional service rendered by previous acharyas who did not care about social behavior when intensely absorbed in love for Krishna. Unfortunately, as long as we are within this material world, we must observe social customs to avoid criticism by the general populace. This is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's desire. Text 30. No one can properly describe Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's affection for his devotees. He always tolerated all kinds of personal unhappiness resulting from his acceptance of the renounced order of life. The regulative principles observed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were sometimes intolerable, and all the devotees became greatly affected by them. Although strictly observing the regulative principles, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could not tolerate the unhappiness felt by his devotees. Therefore, to prevent them from accompanying him and becoming unhappy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu declared their good qualities to be faults. The Lord wanted to tour all the places of pilgrimage alone and strictly observe the duties of the renounced order. 4 devotees then humbly insisted that they go with the Lord, but Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, being the independent Supreme Personality of Godhead, did not accept their request. Thereupon, Lord Nityanand Prabhu said, "Whatever you order is my duty, regardless of whether it results in unhappiness or happiness. Yet I still submit one petition to you. Please consider it, and if you think it proper, please accept it. You must take with you a loincloth, external clothes, and a water pot. You should take nothing more than this. Since your 2 hands will always be engaged in chanting and counting the holy names, how will you be able to carry the water pot and external garments?" Purport. From this verse, it is clear that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was chanting the holy names a fixed number of times daily. The Goswamis used to follow in the footsteps of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Haridas Thakur also followed this principle. Concerning the Goswamis, Sri Rupa Goswami, Srila Sanatan Goswami, Srila Raghunath Bhatt Goswami, Srila Jeev Goswami, Srila Gopal Bhatt Goswami, and Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, Srinivas Acharya confirms Sankhya Purvak Naam Gan Bhi. In addition to other duties, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu introduced the system of chanting the holy names of the Lord a fixed number of times daily, as confirmed in this verse. Tomar dui hast baddha naam ganane. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to count on his fingers. While one hand was engaged in chanting, the other hand kept the number of rounds. This is corroborated in the Chaitanya Chandamrita, also Chandramrit, also in by Srila Rupa Goswami Istavmala. Therefore, devotees in the line of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu must chant at least 16 rounds daily, and this is the number prescribed by the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Haridas Thakur daily chanted 3 lakh names. 16 rounds is about 28,000 names. There is no need to imitate Haridas Thakur or the other Goswamis, but chanting the holy name a fixed number of times daily is essential for every devotee. Text 38. When along the way you fall unconscious in ecstatic love of Godhead, who will protect your belongings, the bottle pot, garments, and so forth? Shri Nityananda Prabhu continued, here is a simple Brahmana named Krishna Das. Please accept him and take him with you. That is my request. Purport. This Krishna Das, known as Kala Krishna Das, is not the Kala Krishna Das mentioned in the 11th chapter, verse 37 of the Adi Leela. The Kala Krishna Das mentioned in the 11th chapter is one of the 12 Gopalas, cowherd boys, who appeared to substantiate the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is known as a great devotee of Lord Nityananda Prabhu. The Brahmana named Kala Krishnadas, who went with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to South India and later to Bengal, is mentioned in the Madhya Leela, 10th chapter, verse 62 to 79. One should not take these two to be the same person. Text 40. He will carry your water pot and garments. You may do whatever you like. He will not say a word. Accepting the request of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, Lord Chaitanya took all his devotees and went to the house of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. As soon as they entered his house, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya offered the Lord obeisances and a place to sit. After seating all the others, the Bhattacharya took his seat. After they had discussed various topics about Lord Sri Krishna, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu informed Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, I have to come to your place just to receive your order. My elder brother Vishwarup has taken sannyas and gone to South India. Now I must go search for him. Please permit me to go, for I must tour South India. With your permission, I shall soon return very happily. Upon hearing this, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya became very much agitated. Catching hold of the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he gave this sorrowful reply. After many births, due to some pious activities, I got your association. Now Providence is breaking this invaluable association. If a thunderbolt falls on my head or if my son dies, I can tolerate it, but I cannot endure the unhappiness of separation from you. My dear Lord, you are the independent Supreme Person of Godhead. Certainly you will depart. I know that. Still I ask you to stay here a few days more so that I can see your lotus feet. Upon hearing Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's request, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu relented. He stayed a few days longer and did not depart. The Bhattacharya eagerly invited Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to his home and fed him very nicely. The Bhattacharya's wife, whose name was Sathi Mata, the mother of Sathi, did the cooking. The narrations of these pastimes are very wonderful. Later, I shall tell about this in elaborate detail, but at present I wish to describe Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's South Indian tour. After staying 5 days at the home of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally asked his permission to depart for South India. After receiving the Bhattacharya's permission, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to see Lord Jagannath in the temple. He took the Bhattacharya with him. Seeing Lord Jagannath, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also begged his permission. The priest then immediately delivered prasadam and a garland to Lord Chaitanya. Thus, receiving Lord Jagannath's permission in the form of a garland, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu offered obeisances, and then in great jubilation he prepared to depart for South India. Accompanied by his personal associate and Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu circumambulated the altar of Jagannath, and the Lord then departed on his South Indian tour. While the Lord was going along the path to Aladnath, which was located on the seashore, Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya gave the following orders to Gopinath Acharya. Bring the 4 sets of line clothes and outer garments I kept at home, and also some prasadam of Lord Jagannath. You may carry these things with the help of some Brahmana. While Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was departing, Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya submitted the following at his lotus feet. My Lord, I have one final request that I hope you will kindly fulfill. In the town of Vidyanagar, on the bank of the Godavari, there is a responsible government officer named Ramanand Rai. Purport. In the Amrit Prabha Bhashya, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur states that Vidyanagar is today known as Porbandar. There is another Porbandar in western India in the province of Gujarat. Text 63. Translation. Please do not neglect him. Thinking he belonged to a Shudra family engaged in material activities, it is my request that you meet him without fail. Purport. In the Varnashram Dharma, the Shudra is the 4th division in the social status. Paricharyatmakam karma Shuddhasyapi swabhavajam. Shudras are meant to engage in the service of the 3 higher classes, Brahmanas, Kshatriyas and Vaishyas. Sri Ramanand Rai belonged to the Karan class, which is the equivalent to the Kayasth class in the Bengal. This class is regarded all over India as Shudras. It is said that the Bengali Kayasthas were originally engaged as servants of Brahmana who came from North India to Bengal. Later the clerical class became the Kayasthas in Bengal. Now there are many mixed classes known as Kayastha. Sometimes it is said in Bengal that those who cannot claim any particular class belongs to the Kayastha class. Although these Kayasthas or Karanas are considered Shudras, they are very intelligent and highly educated. Most of them are professionals such as lawyers or politicians. Thus in Bengal, the Kayasthas are sometimes considered Kshatriyas. In Orissa, however, the Kayastha class, which includes the Karanas, is considered in the Shudra category. Sri Ramanand Rai was also the governor of South India under the regime of Maharaj Prataparudra of Orissa. In other words, Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya informed Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that Ramanand Rai, although belonging to the Shudra class, was a highly responsible government officer. As far as spiritual advancement is concerned, materialist politicians and Shudras are generally disqualified. Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya therefore requested that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu not neglect Ramanand Rai, who was highly advanced spiritually, although he was born a Shudra and a materialist. A Vishayi is one who is attached to family life and is interested only in wife, children and worldly sense gratification. The senses can be engaged either in worldly enjoyment or in the service of the Lord. Those who are not engaged in the service of the Lord and are interested only in material sense gratification are called Vishayi. Srila Ramanand Rai was engaged in government service and he belonged to the Karana class. He was certainly not a sannyasi in saffron clothes, yet he was in the transcendental position of Paramhansa householder. Before becoming Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's disciple, Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya considered Ramanand Rai an ordinary Vishayi. because he was a householder engaged in government service. However, when the Bhattacharya was actually enlightened in Vaishnava philosophy, he could understand the exalted transcendental position of Sri Ramananda Rai. Therefore, he referred to him as Adhikari. An Adhikari is the one who knows the transcendental science of Krishna and is engaged in his service. Therefore, all Grihastha devotees are designated as Das Adhikari. Text 64. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya continued, Ramananda Rai is a fit person to associate with you. No other devotee can compare with him in knowledge of the transcendental mellows. He is a most learned scholar as well as an expert in devotional mellows. Actually, he is most exalted, and if you talk with him, you will see how glorious he is. I could not realize when I first spoke with Ramananda Rai that his topics and endeavors were all transcendentally uncommon. I made fun of him simply because he was a Vaishnava. Purport. Anyone who is not a Vaishnava or an unalloyed devotee of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu must be a materialist. A Vaishnava living according to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's injunctions is certainly not on the materialistic platform. Chaitanya means spiritual force. All of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's activities are carried out on the platform of spiritual understanding. Therefore, only those who are on the spiritual platform are able to understand the activities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Materialistic persons cannot understand these activities and are generally known as karmis or jnanis. The jnanis are mental speculators who simply try to understand what is spirit and what is matter. Their process is neti. This is not spirit, this is not Brahman. The jnanis are a little more advanced than the dull-headed karmis who are simply interested in sense gratification. Before becoming a Vaishnava, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was a mental speculator, jnani, and being such, he always cut jokes with Vaishnavas. A Vaishnava never agrees with the speculative system of the jnanis. Both the jnanis and karmis depend on direct sense perception for their imperfect knowledge. The karmis never agree to accept anything not directly perceived, and the jnanis put forth only hypotheses. However, the Vaishnavas, the unalloyed devotees of the Lord, do not follow the process of acquiring knowledge by direct sense gratification or mental speculation, because they are servants of Supreme Lord. Devotees receive knowledge directly from the Supreme Personality of Godhead as he speaks it in the Bhagavad Gita, or sometimes as he imparts it from within as Chaitya Guru. As Lord Krishna stated in the Bhagavad Gita 10.10, Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti te. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. The Vedas are considered to have been spoken by the Supreme Lord. They were first realized by Brahma, who is the first created being within the universe. Tene Brahma Hridayadi Kavaye. Our process is to receive knowledge through the Parampara system, from Krishna to Brahma to Narada, Vyas, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and the 6 Goswamis. By disciplic succession, Lord Brahma was enlightened from within by the original person, Krishna. Our knowledge is fully perfect due to being handed from master to disciple. A Vaishnava is always engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, and thus neither Vaishnavas, neither karmis nor jnanis can understand the activities of a Vaishnava. It is said, Vaishnavera kriya mudra vijnana bujhaye. Even the most learned man, depending on direct perception of knowledge, cannot understand the activities of a Vaishnava. After being initiated into Vaishnavism by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya realized what a mistake he had made in trying to understand Ramananda Rai, who was very learned and whose endeavors were all directed to rendering transcendental loving service to the Lord. Text 67. The Bhattacharya said, By your mercy, I can now understand the truth about Ramanand Rai. In talking with him, you also will acknowledge his greatness. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's request that he meet Ramanand Rai. Bidding Sarvabhauma farewell, the Lord embraced him. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked the Bhattacharya to bless him while he engaged in the devotional service of Lord at home, so that by Sarvabhauma's mercy, the Lord could return to Jagannath Puri. The word Kari Ashirvad means continue to bestow your blessings upon me. Being a sannyasi, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in the fourth order of life and was thus due all respect and adoration, whereas Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya as a householder was in the second order. A sannyasi is supposed to offer blessings to the grihastha, yet now, by his practical behavior, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu requested the blessings of a grihastha. This incident shows the special significance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's preaching. He gave equal status to everyone, regardless of material considerations. His movement is thoroughly spiritual. Although apparently a grihastha householder, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was unlike the so-called karmis, interested in sense gratification. After being initiated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Bhattacharya was perfectly situated in the spiritual order. Therefore, it was quite possible for him to offer blessings even to a sannyasi. He was always engaged in the service of the Lord, even at home. In our specific line, we have the example of a perfect householder Paramhansa, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. In his book Sharnagati, Bhakti Vinod Thakur states, Ye dina grihe bhajan dekhi, grihete golok bhaya. Whenever a householder glorifies the Supreme Lord in his home, his activities are immediately transformed into the activities of Golok Vrindavan. Spiritual activities taking place in Golok Vrindavan, planet of Krishna. Activities exhibited by Krishna himself at Bhauma Vrindavan, the Vrindavan Dham existing on this planet, are not different from his activities on the planet Golok Vrindavan. This is proper realization of Vrindavan anywhere. In our Krishna consciousness movement, we inaugurated the new Vrindavan activities, wherein devotees are always engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. And this is not different from Golok Vrindavan. The conclusion is that one who acts strictly in the line of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is competent to offer blessings to sannyasis, even though he be a grihastha householder. Although he is in an exalted position, a sannyasi still must elevate himself to the transcendental platform by rendering service to the Lord. By his actual behavior, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu begged the blessings of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. In this way, he set the example of how one should accept blessings from a Vaishnava regardless of his social position. Text 70. Saying this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu departed on his tour, and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya immediately fainted and fell to the ground. Although Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya fainted, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not take notice of him, rather he left quickly. Who can understand the mind and intention of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? It was naturally expected that when Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya fainted and fell to the ground, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would have taken care of him and waited for him to regain consciousness, but he did not do so. Rather, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately started on his tour. He is therefore very difficult to understand the activities of a transcendental person. Sometimes they may seem rather odd, but the transcendental personality remains in his position unaffected by material considerations. This is the nature of the mind of an uncommon personality. Sometimes it is soft like a flower, but sometimes it is as hard as a thunderbolt. The softness of a flower and the hardness of a thunderbolt are reconciled in the behavior of a great personality. The following quotations from Uttar Ramcharita explains this behavior. One may also consult the Madhya Leela, 3rd chapter, verse 212. Text 73. The hearts of those who are above common behavior are sometimes harder than a thunderbolt and sometimes softer than a flower. How can one accommodate such contradictions in great personalities? Lord Nityananda Prabhu raised Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya and with the help of his men saw him to his home. Immediately all the devotees came and partook of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's company. Afterwards, Gopinath Acharya came with the garments and prasadam. All the devotees followed Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to a place known as Alal Nath. There they all offered respects and various prayers. In great ecstasy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced and chanted for some time. Indeed, all the neighbors came to see him. All around Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is also known as Gaur Hari, people began to shout the holy name of Hari. Lord Chaitanya, immersed in his usual ecstasy of love, danced in the midst of them. The body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was naturally very beautiful. It was like molten gold dressed in saffron cloth. Indeed, he was most beautiful for being ornamented with the ecstatic symptoms which caused his bodily hair to stand on end, tears to well up in his eyes, and his body to tremble and perspire all over. Everyone present was astonished to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu dancing and in bodily transformations. Whoever came did not want to return home. Keha nache, keha gaye, Sri Krishna Gopal. Everyone, including children, old men, and women, began to dance and to chant the holy names of Sri Krishna and Gopal. In this way, they all floated in the ocean of love of God. Upon seeing the chanting and dancing of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Nityananda predicted that later there would be dancing and chanting in every village. This prediction of Sri Nityananda Prabhu's is applicable not only in India but also all over the world. That is now happening by His grace. The members of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness are now traveling from one village to another in the Western countries and are even carrying the deities with them. These devotees distribute various literatures all over the world. We hope that these devotees who are preaching the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will very seriously follow strictly in his footsteps. If they follow the rules and regulations and chant 16 rounds daily, their endeavor to preach the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will certainly be successful. Text 83. Seeing that it was already getting late, Lord Nityananda Prabhu, the spiritual master, invented a means to disperse the crowd. When Lord Nityananda Prabhu took Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for lunch at noon, everyone came running around them. After finishing their bath, they returned at noon to the temple, admitting his own men. Sri Nityananda Prabhu closed the outside door. Gopinath Acharya then brought prasadam for the two lords to eat, and after they had eaten, the remnants of the food were distributed to all the devotees. Hearing about this, everyone there came to the outside door and began chanting the holy name, Hari Hari. Thus there was a tumultuous sound. After lunch, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made them open the door. In this way, everyone received his audience with great pleasure. The people came and went until evening, and all of them became Vaishnava devotees and began to chant and dance. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then passed the night there and discussed the pastimes of Lord Krishna with his devotees with great pleasure. The next morning, after taking his bath, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started on his South Indian tour. He bade farewell to the devotees by embracing them. Although they all fell to the ground unconscious, the Lord did not turn to see them but proceeded onward. In separation, the Lord became very much perturbed and walked on unhappily. His servant Krishnadas, who was carrying his water pot, followed behind. All the devotees remained there and fasted, and the next day they all unhappily returned to Jagannath Puri. Almost like a mad lion, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went on his tour filled with ecstatic love and performing Sankirtan, chanting Krishna's name as follows. Krishna, 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 Hey, Krishna, 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 Hey. Krishna, 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 Rakshama. Krishna, 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 Pahima. That is, O Lord Krishna, please protect me and maintain me. He also chanted, Rama Raghav, Rama Raghav, Rama Raghav, Rakshama. Krishna Keshav, Krishna Keshav, Krishna Keshav, Pahima. That is, O Lord Rama, descendant of King Raghu, please protect me. O Krishna, O Keshava, killer of the Keshi demon, please maintain me. Text 97. Chanting this verse, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, known as Gaur Hari, went on his way. As soon as he saw someone, he would request him to chant Hari Hari. Whoever heard Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chant Hari Hari also chanted the holy name of Lord Hari and Krishna. In this way, they all followed the Lord, very eager to see him. After some time, the Lord would embrace these people and bid them return home, having invested each of them with a spiritual potency. In his Amrit Prabhava Bhashya, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that the spiritual potency is the essence of the pleasure potency and the knowledge potency. By these two potencies, one is empowered with devotional service. Lord Krishna himself or his representatives, the unalloyed devotees, can mercifully bestow these combined potencies upon any man. Being thus endowed with such potencies, one can become an unalloyed devotee of the Lord. Anyone favored by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was empowered with this Bhakti Shakti. Thus the Lord's followers were able to preach Krishna consciousness by his divine grace. Text 100. Each of these empowered persons would return to his own village, always chanting the holy name of Krishna and sometimes laughing, crying and dancing. Such an empowered person would request everyone and anyone, whomever he saw, to chant the holy name of Krishna. In this way, all the villagers would also become devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In order to become an empowered preacher, one must be favored by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or his devotee, the spiritual master. One must also request everyone to chant the Mahamantra. In this way, such a person can convert others to Vaishnavism, showing them how to become pure devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Translation. Text 102. People from different villages who came to see such an empowered individual would become like him simply by seeing him rendering, receiving the mercy of his glance. When each of these newly empowered individuals returned to his own village, he also converted the villagers into devotees. And when others came from different villages to see him, they were also converted. In this way, as empowered man went from one village to another, all the people of South India became devotees. Thus, many hundreds of people became Vaishnavas when they passed the Lord on the way and were embraced by him. In whatever village Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed to accept alms, many people came to see him. By the mercy of the Supreme Lord, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all these persons became first-class devotees. Later they became teachers or spiritual master and liberated the entire world. Text 108. In this way the Lord went to the extreme southern part of India and he converted all the provinces to Vaishnavism. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not manifest his spiritual potencies at Navdeep, but he did manifest them in South India and liberated all the people over there. Purport. आप जाएंगे? अभी जाएंगे? और पढ़ूं? Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not manifest his spiritual potencies at Navdeep, but he did manifest them in South India and liberated all the people there. Purport. At that time, there were many Smarta, non-devotee followers of Vedic rituals at the holy place of Navadvip, which was also the birthplace of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Followers of the Smriti Shastra are called Smartas. Most of them are non-devotees, and their main business is following the Brahminical principles strictly. However, they are not enlightened in devotional service. In Navadvip, all the learned scholars are followers of the Smriti Shastras, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not attempt to convert them. by Srinivas Prabhu. Srivas Pandit Das.
आरती लीजिए आरती।
दस होता है, 10 लोग करते हैं।
अच्छा करो है